All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TechLife Live. My name is Dave Cherry, and I love the fact that I don't think I know most of you. I was looking through the guest list today, and there's so many new names on this registration list today, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm really excited to have a number of guests here today for this series, which we're calling Retail, Retech, and Reinvent. We're going to be talking on this first of three episodes with folks primarily in the Columbus and Central Ohio area that are doing really cool things in technology, specifically for retail. And today I'm super excited to have several friends and some new acquaintances on a call today. We've got Maya and Mica Kane with Mive. We've got Olga Yurovski with Shopperations, Natasia, and I apologize, I always worry about mispronouncing your last name, Natasia. Malaihollo. Did I get that okay?
Close. It's Malaihollo, but that's fine.
Thank you. I should have prepped for that. My bad. And from Popcom, and Kris Barton from Avery, Dennison, which many of us know for mailing labels, but Kris is going to show us how they're much more than that. So again, this is the first of a three-part series. The TechLife Live series actually has 15 different shows. This is just one of them. So check out our meetups, check out all the other ones. There's a lot of great content being produced. And because this is a pilot for the next 3 months, we are really looking for your input. So if we're doing something really well, let us know. If we're not doing something well, let us know that as well. So with that, I'm going to jump right into it. And I'm going to start off with introducing two of my favorite people that I've really gotten to know very well over the last year. Maya and Mica Kane, twin sisters who have started a company called Mive. And Rochelle, if you could bring up the Mive screen for us. Maya and Mica, I'm going to let you guys take it away because you guys are going to introduce this way better than I ever could. Why don't we just start off, just kind of introduce yourselves real quick and tell the audience a little bit about what Mive is and why Mive exists, why you guys started it.
Maya, do you want me to take what Mive is, and do you want to take why it exists? Hi, everybody. My name is Mica. So what Mive really is, we are a carbon neutral, size inclusive, slow fashion marketplace. So the experience that we facilitate on our site is we virtually size women or anyone to capture over 160 measurements of their bodies so they can shop our curation of emerging, sustainable, slow fashion brands, all creating garments that are made to measure. So we completely take out the fear of shopping online and sizing being not as inclusive. And Maya, you can take it away.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it, but really just focusing in on creating an experience where anyone, no matter your size, can purchase garments that have integrity at the center of their creation process. So that's what Mive is, and super excited to be here.
Well, and I know you two are both incredibly humble and incredibly accomplished. So I'm going to have you guys again share a couple details. But Maya and Mica have not only been winners and finalists in several different competitions around entrepreneurship. You guys won the Essence magazine. It was they partnered with McDonald's. It was called Making Moves Now, if I remember correctly. And then you guys were just recently among the top finalists in the Harvard Business School. I think it was a Black entrepreneur competition specifically.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you guys remind the crowd how old you guys are.
We're 25.
Yeah. So just awesome to see what you guys are doing in technology, and Indiana University graduates working here in Columbus, engaged. You guys are also ambassadors with the Columbus Fashion Alliance, right? Mm-hmm. And on our innovation team. So kind of selfish plug right there as well. So super engaged in the community. making a lot of inroads, and we're going to talk more in a minute about Mive and some of the details that we'll get into Mica and Maya in a second. The second introduction I want to do, we're going to venture a little bit outside of Columbus right now, and we're going to ask Olga Yurovski to do a quick introduction and tell us all what is Shopperations. Olga?
Thank you, Dave. Let me share my screen quickly. Can you guys see it?
Yep, we got you.
So I come from the CPG side of retail space, and CPG stands for consumer packaged goods. Anything you see on the supermarket shelves, day-to-day products, food and beverage, that's my world. I actually spent 15 years in marketing in the consumer packaged goods industry. And I found my job to be both very challenging and exciting and stimulating, but there's also a tremendous amount of waste that I've encountered in my daily work. And when you think about what shopper marketers or what marketers do in the CPG industry, they're supposed to drive sales and market share. They're supposed to come up with the strategic initiatives, promotions, big ideas, and work with agencies to implement them, and then analyze and measure what they've done to make improvements. It sounds easy to do, but it's extremely hard so, simply because there's no tools and software to help automate the minutia. And when I talk about minutia, here's what I had to deal with. These are actually real spreadsheets that my team was using, and there were many of them. They were unstructured, disconnected, they were broken formulas, and there were a lot of things that I really could not stand in my daily work. So what we've done after I left my corporate job is I've done research to see what exactly is the situation in the industry. What we've figured out is that in our industry, about half of the time that marketers spend in their day-to-day work is wasted on admin activities, not really strategy, not even tactics, not even pushing the programs out of the door, but it's reconciling spreadsheets, tracking budgets, figuring out who's done work and what work still needs to be done. So a lot of project management work that's really not adding value and just rehashing basic facts and copying and pasting from one spreadsheet to another. That was the reason why I started Shopperations almost 7 years ago. And I'm not a technical person, but I found a way to create a software, a cloud-based software that would automate this job that I used to do. Essentially, what we do today, we work with CPG industry exclusively, and we help marketers take those scary spreadsheets and put them in the cloud. So anything you see in Shopperations used to be in spreadsheets. For example, there's a way for them to track all of their budgets and programs in one consistent place and have standard dropdowns, standard naming conventions, so the entire team plans the same way. They also can generate very easily automated calendars and share them with their sales teams, with their internal stakeholders who really want to know. There's also ability to generate files and save them and explain how the programs were actually coming together, just artwork files and illustrations, as well as other documents that are important for the program to be complete. And then a big part of the job is analytics, figuring out the numbers, what's the remaining spend, what is the breakout of the budget by brand, by category, by retail partner that we work with, and then figuring out what worked and what didn't. So analytics is definitely part of Shopperations. And then finally, we have collaboration features where people can have conversations in the cloud without leaving the context of a specific program or specific budget. They can tag each other and then get things done and find answers and then document decisions right there in the cloud. So essentially, what this is Shopperations is not really rocket science. It just brings the latest technology, the latest collaboration tools to my very traditional and very old industry. So that's the way that we disrupt it. And we work with clients both large and small, like General Mills, Conagra, where I used to work. And then we have smaller clients like Vital Farms, who are very nimble and up and coming regional brands that are taking over retail space right now and expanding their distribution. That's pretty much what Shopperations is. It's a cloud-based system that helps automate internal processes and create clarity in the big CPG enterprises.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that, Olga. Rochelle, let's switch over to Popcom and Natasia. When a lot of us think about vending and vending machines, of course, we think about a Coke and a candy bar. And what you and Dawn have created, and the larger team at Popcom, is a heck of a lot more than that. So while we get that up on the screen, Natasia, why don't you tell the group about what Popcom is, and don't be humble. You guys have done some amazing work, especially on the fundraising side. So please make sure to emphasize that.
Sure, sure. And thank you so much for having me. Happy Friday, everyone. So Popcom, we are building smart vending machines. And so our vending machine is not to what you would think, as Dave mentioned, traditionally the kind that sells soda or candy. This is more high ticket items. And so the Pop Shop is built with 3 main kinds of technologies: data collection, machine learning, and the ability to play targeted ads. And that's really because there's 2 computers in this Pop Shop, whereas most vending machines don't even have, Wi-Fi connected in. There's no, tracking of inventory. And we like to say that the Pop Shop isn't actually competing against the traditional vending machine. We really think that what we're doing is we're bridging a gap. Well, we're creating a new middle market, I should say, between online e-commerce websites and a traditional brick and mortar store. And so we're actually competing against a brick and mortar store when we think of the Pop Shop. And the reason I say that is that the Pop Shop is really a website in physical form. So when you go up to the Pop Shop can hold up to 344 products. And if if a product is not there, they can actually order it from the website, from the brand's website. So just for an example, if we were to work with a company like Estee Lauder that makes cosmetics, so they could browse through the machine and look at the entire suite of products. Some of those products might actually be in the machine, and for the products that are not, they could order it on the machine, pay for it on the machine, but it will be shipped to them, to their house. And so it's really, as I mentioned, a bridging between online e-commerce and an actual brick and mortar. And the reason why we did it this way is because a lot of small brands and local businesses that are starting up, it's very hard to compete for customers online. You're going against Google ad spends and social media spends against companies and retailers that are already really well established. And you really want to just create, that new customer segment. And so this is a way for you to get into have a physical store without actually spending the money for a physical store. So what's unconventional about the Popcom is, as Dave mentioned, our way of fundraising. So this concept, this idea of, merging a website and a physical store into one was really not a very well-received concept when Dawn pitched it to VCs. And she went, before I joined, she went through like the Techstars Accelerator program, and she had the benefit of having all these great mentors from the Techstars program. But even on the VC side, like they really couldn't help sell the concept. And so she decided to start raising through regular people, and that's what equity crowdfunding is. It essentially allows anybody to be able to invest in your company at a minimum of $250. And so she was able to raise about $3 million that way. And so the cool thing about that, though, is, when Popcom does really well, all of these regular untraditional investors also do well, and they get a piece of the pie versus like a regular VC. There's another slide on this, and if you could just, thank you. So our current strategy is to go after the travel industry. So we really want to be like the red box of the travel industry. Everywhere you go, you'll see a Pop Shop. And right now, we are actually in the process of launching 20 Pop Shops. And so by the end of the summer, we'll be in 20 different locations, including the Virgin Hotel, the AC Hotel, the JW Marriott, and as of last week, Yellowstone National Park at the Visitor Center.
Awesome. So cool. I love what you guys are doing with Popcom, and Dawn's efforts in driving this company has been outstanding. So just like we have potentially a little bit of a misconception about vending machines, our next quick guest is Kris Barton, from Avery Dennison. And again, Kris, just like I mentioned there, when we all think Avery Dennison, a lot of us just think mailing labels. And a lot of us don't even realize that Avery Dennison has a presence here in Columbus, Ohio. It's kind of a well-kept secret. So Kris, why don't you tell us a little bit more about not only what Avery Dennison is and what they're doing, but some of the retail tech that you guys are involved in.
Sure. First of all, thanks for including us today. Really appreciate the opportunity, and thanks everybody for joining. I think one of the big things, as you mentioned, is there's a little bit of name association that kind of gets stuck through the legacy. Ironically, Avery Dennison actually doesn't make shipping labels anymore, or the traditional office labels that you think about. That was a business under the Avery label that we sold off several years ago to another business. So Avery Dennison is a corporation in Fortune 500 that listed there. We're about 7 billion in revenue. Inside of that group, we have a couple of different divisions. The larger group makes a lot of sticky materials, car films, car wraps, I should say, if you're familiar with that. A lot of different materials that go into making labels for things like wine bottles or consumer packaged goods, things like that. Inside of the group that I'm in, which is the RBIS group, we were very focused on the retail sector for the most part. We've been working with a lot of different retailers, especially in the Columbus area. So a lot of the retailers and brands in that sector will know Avery Dennison and RBIS for things like care labels or heat transfers. And in my case, RFID labels. We also make a lot of price tickets for a lot of different retailers and brands as well. So in the RFID world, there we go. In the RFID world that I'm part of as the Director of Market Development for North America, we focus a lot on enabling retailers to take inventory quickly. So traditionally, retailers are looking at, once, twice a year inventory accuracy. So RFID allows them to collect that information very easily in a matter of minutes, in most cases, instead of taking days upon days to do the inventory normally. As part of that, we've become the largest player in the space. We focus not on just RFID, but truly creating a digital identity for the garment itself. And we've been doing some work in that space as well to enhance the digital journey that the retailer and the consumer can share together in a one-on-one basis. So if you can continue on to the second slide there, that would be great. So traditionally, the earliest part of RFID adoption was primarily in the apparel space, but there are other categories that have been adopted as well. Inside apparel, it's been a huge success. Most of the retailers that have adopted have really identified RFID as something that cannot be replaced with other technologies. And it's truly enabled the omni-channel fulfillment options that they need to have for the consumer. So that has been a big, big lift. And we've seen a lot of adoption, not just in the US, but also in the EU, as well as Asia and some of the other regions of the world, such as South America, coming on very heavily. Other categories that we've had a lot of success, or maybe even just some early adoption pieces that are quite interesting. We've seen other areas like aviation, automotive, things like that for RFID. But in the retail sector specifically, food and beauty have come on in some very strong categories that people are looking at. And there are reasons for this, as you can see just a couple of things pointed out. In the food space, whether it's grocery, convenience stores, or even QSR, there's a lot of waste in the channel. So the concept of expiration is a huge piece of the puzzle. So now at that level, I can now attach an expiration to that item that I can then quickly identify what things are out of range or out of date that I need to remove from the system, or if I need to follow a first in, first out process, things like that. I have full accuracy of what's there, what's on the shelf, what's meeting all my compliance requirements are all really big deals. The other thing that is, as I mentioned, is catching on is beauty very heavily. So there's just a couple of statistics there that we're seeing. Beauty is not really dramatically different in terms of the inventory accuracy issues that they see with apparel, but they are maybe just a little bit larger. It's amazing the inventory accuracy discrepancies for beauty and cosmetics in the marketplace. There's also a lot of opportunity for counterfeiting. So being able to make sure that your supply chain is credible, making sure that you have the provenance or the authenticity going through the supply chain, identifying what you have, where you have it, and then also making that product available for the consumer has been a big push in the beauty space as well. So I would say as a whole, just to kind of wrap up my little piece, is that we at Avery Dennison with RBAS are really focusing on giving the item, whether it's an apparel item, whether it's a food item, whether it's a beauty item, et cetera, some kind of digital identity. And our digital identity can be in the form of RFID, as we've talked about here. It could also be in the form of a symbology piece like a barcode, QR code, things like that. And then leveraging that technology as a digital identity to allow the retailer, the brand to connect one-to-one with the consumer and make sure the product is available for them to buy wherever they're at and however they want to buy it. So again, I appreciate the time, Dave, and I'm looking forward to the questions.
All right. Well, thanks, Kris. Rochelle, if we can take the presentations down, just get back to everybody's faces on the screen. There we go. Appreciate that. So everyone, the goal of this session is to get to know these 4 companies and the individuals behind them. So I've got a handful of questions that I'm going to ask, and what I'd love to do is obviously make this much more interactive. So if you have a question that you do want to ask, let us know, and we'll get to it. Again, for Maya, Mica, Olga, Natasia, and Kris, we'll spend about the next 20 minutes doing some Q&A, getting to know, and then we're going to spend the last 10 minutes of this in a breakout session just for some networking. Again, lots of people that probably don't know each other, just so we can get to meet 5 or 6 people. So I'm going to start it off with the first question, and let's go in. We'll go in reverse order since we had you last, Kris. Give everybody a little bit more time to think about this. My question for each of the 4 of you is, when you look at your solution, particularly the technology component that you've built, what is one thing that you still look at and say, wow, that is just so cool? Like, I really can't believe that our solution does this. It's like really cool. I love using it as a customer. It's just really neat, really innovative. What's that one cool thing? Kris, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many amazing things about RFID that I look at every day and think, wow, this is amazing technology, even though the technology has been around for decades, quite frankly, but it's really matured in the retail space over the last 10 years or so. The thing that is always still amazing is there's not a line of sight requirement. So like traditional barcode scanning, you have to touch every item to be able to read what it is. And you also have, typically you have a SKU that is the same barcode on each shirt that is exactly the same. So now with RFID, each item has its uniqueness. And every time we see customers that haven't really experienced RFID and they go in and they wand the room and they start to see how fast the data is collected, it says, wow, I just collected information on 150 items in 3 seconds of wanding this thing around. Is just truly amazing. So it never ceases to amaze me, the speed and accuracy of the technology. So very, very exciting.
Awesome. Natasia, how about you? When you're interacting with Popcom, what gets you excited every day? What's super cool about your technology?
I would definitely say the software. And so there's just so many ways. So currently the software, you can buy products, you can see all of the different tracking on like the inventory within the machine, which actually most vending machines do not have that. Like the Pop Shop is the first vending machine with a CRM software in the machine. But I really get excited about just the potential for this software because the machine is built in with the 2 computers, with all of this great technology, all of the great things that we could do. And so, we just launched a program called Pop Shop Local, which is hyper focused on local brands. And, so every Pop Shop in every city would just have local brands, but would also be advertising local attraction and events. And so now we're integrating ticket sales and all of that, and allowing people to find events around them and then also purchase tickets. And so just like the evolution of where we could go with this software is what I think I'm most excited about.
Awesome. Olga, how about you? When you think about all the problems and the efficiencies that you're solving with Shopperations, what still gets you excited every day when you just like, I can't believe I just built this solution?
To be honest, it's not necessarily the technology, it's how people get empowered by technology and how clients really love how we're saving them time. Some examples I can bring up, for example, they used to build calendars in Excel, meticulously putting every line and moving squares on the spreadsheet and updating it every time that the changes happen, and doing it in multiple places. Our calendars are generated automatically. Not only that, we have ways to pivot a calendar to either focus on internal fiscal year, which is typically very different from retail partners' fiscal years. So with just one click, you can suddenly relabel it and make it ready for sales presentations. That wasn't possible before Shopperations. The other big thing is actualizing the spend. It's one thing to plan and forecast your expenses. The other thing is to actually track what's been paid. And it's not easy because the systems where the invoices and deductions and coupon redemptions are processed are not typically all in one place. They're disconnected and they're really hard to navigate. So we figured out a way to bring in actuals in bulk and then map them back to the forecast, the tactics and the programs that they're planning. So now it's just a matter of loading a file and everything matches. And it's magical because it used to be super complex and super frustrating. Our report engine is another great thing where people used to copy paste and update multiple spreadsheets to answer different internal stakeholders questions. They suddenly only have to plan once. And then if anybody has a question, they only have a few clicks to generate a report or just to refresh a report they've created earlier and send it off to them. And they're come across as very prepared and buttoned up, and the reputation goes through the roof, and they get more money because people start trusting them more. So all of these intangible things about building transparency and trust internally is what really gets me excited.
Great. All right, Mica, what's the coolest thing that gets you guys excited every day about Mive's technology?
Yeah, I definitely would say our augmented reality measuring experience that we facilitate through our site with our technology partner 3D Look. What the experience is like is with just 2 pictures, you have the ability to self-measure and get guided audio instructions on how to position yourself to best measure. Or you can have a friend or a peer do it for you. And we get over 160 measurements of each person's body. So, kudos to Maya because she really adapted the technology for our very specific use case so that whenever you're shopping on the platform, all your measurements are surfaced to every product page. So it can either help you navigate a sizing chart for a brand, but also a lot of the brands and designers we're working with, about over 50% of our offering are made to measure options. So we're really making sure what's so exciting about this technology is that previously getting your measurements, it was like this elevated thing of this bespoke experience was so inaccessible to a lot of people. And it was just a lot of work knowing how to take your measurements, even if you do have a measuring tape. So through this, we're really kind of delivering equity and providing a space that's built for women of different body sizes and shapes. Like Plus Women have historically been underserved in fashion. That goes without saying, as well as specifically for conscious brands, right? Especially more belief-driven buyers and millennials and Gen Zers. And most of us are building a consciousness about waste output and just generally more conscious practices, where only 20% of those brands actually offer sizing size 14 and above. And we know that almost 70% of women in the US do identify in that size range. So, there's a huge gap, and we're fixing it for Mive. We're really excited, and we're really just trying to demonstrate how we can center equity and sustainability in scaling any platform.
I'm glad you said that, Mica, because that AR measuring tape is my favorite part of Mive. It's like the thing that I think is the coolest. And, something that, a lot of the guys on the webinar here, we probably don't recognize as much is that, for a woman, a 14 is not a 14 is not a 14, right? There's women that wear that size that are very different shapes. We got it easy, right? We go buy a large or an extra large and it's probably going to fit. And that whole AR measuring tape just does an awesome job of making sure that, the woman who's buying it online, right? She has confidence in that decision, that it's going to fit and look good. So I'm glad you mentioned that one. Hey, Kris, we have a question that came in on the chat, and I like the fact that Andy asks this question because I remember actually doing a project about 10 years ago, back when I was working at Limited Brands, and we were looking at RFID, and it never went anywhere because it was so cost prohibitive. Every tag was like, you couldn't put a tag on every product because of the expense. And so Kris is asking, what is the cost impact these days, for an RFID label, and how does that compare to an existing QR or no-go label? Can you talk about that a little bit, Kris?
Sure. So obviously every project is unique and requires maybe some subtle differences, so I can't quite discuss price, but it has come down dramatically from where it was. And I would say that, I think it's public knowledge. It's been noted in their reporting that Victoria's Secret is actually using RFID in their program. If you go in their stores, you can see it on the bras and the apparel and things like that. So I would say the pricing is very low. We look at it in terms of a net cost to garment. So if you think about a non-RFID enabled price ticket or PFL that you might enable with RFID, you're looking at a price delta that's well below the 10-cent level. You're looking at a net cost to garment that's probably in the neighborhood, depending upon the complexity of it, anywhere between 5.5 to 8 cents, give or take, depending upon the complexity of the project.
Great, thanks, Kris. Let's throw this one out to all four of you. Joe O'Donnell asks, what do you guys think is the biggest IoT or AI product that is needed in retail? Does anybody have an opinion?
Just something top of mind for me is that when I think about how to answer that question, I first think about what is needed for retail. And my first thought is solving for our waste output problem, right? How traditionally, like, the fashion industry has been a very much a linear waste system of buy, use, waste, and responsible for 92 million tons of waste every year. And we're seeing the impacts of that waste. And so when we're thinking about the technology, right, I'm thinking about that use case. So in terms of the technology, I feel like that's needed to really kind of deliver wide scale change to solve for this problem. I really feel like, Kris, traceability of garments. So I know your use case is really how do you, maximize that relationship between a retailer and a customer? We need that on the sustainability end as well. So I think, what we have to still solve for is security and making sure there's people in the adoption of that, people don't feel tracked by opting in and using this technology, but the ability to trace garments is going to be huge to make sure that we have them moving circularly. So, I don't think that's, we know that IoT and AI will support that. So I can't tell you a technical solution specifically, but definitely something that would be leveraging RFID.
Well, and then that's the thing, so go ahead, Kris.
No, I was going to say that's perfect, because we at Avery Dennison are focused a lot on sustainability and the circular economy. So not just with RFID, but we're giving garments digital identities through other ways like QR codes and heat transfers, anything that allows the garment to take on an identity that can be utilized through the life of the garment, all the way through to saying, hey, here's a way that you can reintroduce this garment into the life cycle. So we actually just Wednesday launched our atma.io offering, which is around traceability of the garment through the entire supply chain, all the way through to recyclability if needed. And one of the most interesting things is with Adidas, we launched Infinite Play, which allows consumer to register their products and resell them and get an authorized, or I should say a validated price point for reselling your sneakers. Obviously, things like that are a big economy these days, a big ecosystem of sneakerheads that are out there saying, hey, how do I know what these shoes are worth? Those kind of things. So we have full traceability, product authentication, along with kind of the validation that what you're buying is the real thing.
Yeah.
But so yeah, right, very on point. I would agree with that.
And we'd love to connect offline about that further. That's awesome.
And I think that's one of the things, I'm glad you brought that point up, Micah, because a lot of us as consumers, we don't think about the sustainability as much. And the whole industry, right, is built, in fashion and fast fashion, and every season we need a new garment, and right, it's such a big piece. So thank you for that question, Joe. And again, please encourage everybody to keep asking your questions in the chat, or if you want to ask it live, we're happy to bring you off mute as well. Next question that I want to pose, again, and I'll pose this out to everybody, and feel free to chime in. But one of the things that I talk about a lot when I talk to clients is around customer experiences and customer expectations, and the gaps that we have between what are constantly rising, right? Our consumers that are engaging with Amazon and Target, and tremendous customer service with places like Southwest, and going across industries. It's just elevating the expectations of what the consumers are expecting. Tell us a little bit about your technology, your solution, and what do you guys think you are doing to help close the gap and deliver on some of those really high customer expectations?
I'll go ahead and go. I feel bad I'm talking the majority of the time here, but so I would say the one thing is, in today's world, especially in the pandemic, when everything closed down, stores had tons of inventory sitting there, right? Consumers were conditioned to say, hey, how do I shop online and pick up curbside or pick up in the store, because traffic in the store was not allowed or significantly limited. So that inventory sat there in many cases, and those retailers that enabled RFID, even pre-pandemic, were able to leverage that. So the idea of ship from store, buy online, pick up in store, pick up curbside, these are huge areas of adoptions that retailers are going after. And so by using RFID and being able to scan their inventory on a weekly basis and identify, hey, I have this, they can make that guaranteed to commit promise to the customer to say, hey, I'm shopping. I want to know if the store down the street has this before I make the trip down there, or I want to know quickly, will they have it, so I can go with my 3 kids in the back of the car, pull in the store parking lot, and they'll be able to deliver it curbside quickly and easily. So I think that the pandemic only exacerbated that. I want real-time information to what your inventory is, and I want to know where it is. If it's in the store next to me, don't ship it to me overnight from a fulfillment center if you've got it in the store 2 miles down the road, because that would be a more economical shipment for you as well. So retailers are really looking at real-time inventory to be able to compete with people like Amazon and be able to deliver locally, just like an Amazon fulfillment center would. So that piece of the technology is really been a big driver of adoption as of late.
And so I'll jump in and just kind of talk a little bit about Popcom's kind of, value add to the customer experience for some of the brands that we work with. So there's 2 types of customers that we have: the small business, the local brand that is trying to, create, get a new customer segment and create brand awareness by putting a pop shop in the mall, where they would have, traditionally try to open up a brick and mortar store. And the other side is the enterprise. So on the small business side, I think that the pop shop really helps them create kind of instant gratification for small businesses. And so, the experience of being on a website is very similar as it is on the pop shop, as it is on your cell phone and on your computer. And but the difference is when you're on a pop shop in the mall, when you purchase something, some of those products are actually available in the machine to dispense right away. And so there's like that instant gratification, and hopefully it creates brand loyalty, and you end up going home and actually purchasing more products on the website. But on the enterprise side, what we're seeing now is enterprises are coming to us and saying, hey, if you guys are going to be in 5 different cities, if you're going to have a pop shop in 5 different cities, we'd love to put our products in your pop shops and give them away for free. So for example, Procter & Gamble, they're launching a new Gillette product. And so they want to use 5 different pop shops to launch all 5, in all 5 cities, and just give away the products for free. But in exchange, because it is a machine, we could actually run surveys. And so in exchange for giving away the product for free, they are getting some survey data. And so we're kind of, again, seeing from the enterprise side, they're meeting their customers where they're at, but also rewarding them for participating in like the product development and the market research for the company.
I love that, Natasia, in terms of, doing a survey at a pop screen and getting an instant gratification. It's almost, I feel like that sort of that Pavlovian dog that I just, ringing the bell and getting the food. Olga, you wanted to chime in?
Sure, yes. So since our application is most consumer facing, we're helping our clients on the enterprise side to adapt to the changing realities in retail. Especially after COVID, we've noticed that there's explosion of e-commerce and new digital tactics, and marketers are learning about them. And there's so many new companies, startups, capabilities to reach shoppers in a new way. So we recognize the pain of the learning curve that our clients have to deal with. We actually launched a new site called vendorstan.com, where marketers can filter, search, navigate and browse through all sorts of capabilities that are out there. And in fact, if you guys are in a retail space and you provide solutions for marketers, I highly recommend that you register there. Sorry for the plug, but it's a new platform, and it's supposed to help marketers be connected with the vendors who provide media solutions to reach shoppers in a new way. And lots of those vendors are digital vendors, and there is a lot of demand to learn about e-commerce and digital space from traditional marketers who used to do only in-store tactics. So that's our main way of helping the industry cope with the new challenges.
Great, thanks, Olga. So
Hey, do you mind if I answer that question too?
No, absolutely, jump in, Maya.
So I just wanted to mention in terms of gaps that we're seeing just new customer expectations. Mica hit on this a lot around sustainability, but there's a large call to action more than any time before around companies being able to take ownership of their waste output and also their sustainability efforts. We've seen a lot of brands being called out for greenwashing. A lot of times it's really hard to find where a brand stands. You're digging through the corporate responsibility statement. A lot of things are hidden. There's no transparency in the industry. So for Mive, we're leading with that information. All of our brands, if they use recycled dead stock fabric, recycled materials, organic cotton, natural dyes. So it takes all the guesswork out of the experience that a lot of belief-driven buyers, which are 80% of shoppers in the United States, especially after this pandemic, they're really looking for that information, and we're surfacing it up. And you'd be surprised, just like little things in terms of content, in terms of transparency can go a long way.
Yeah. So thanks for adding that, Maya. I got one last question for each of the 4 panelists, companies. The whole TechLife community is kind of predicated on helping one another. For those of you that remember our tech strategy sessions where we actually would get together in person, we always would have the great introduction is, hi, nice to meet you. How can I help you? So we haven't had that opportunity to do that as much, obviously, in the last year. But what I'd like to ask each of you is, what can the TechLife community here in Columbus and kind of across Central Ohio, what can we do to help each of you? So Maya and Mica, do you guys want to start off? What can we do to help Mive?
Send us your waste, to be honest. I mean, if, what we're doing right now is redistributing recycled fabrics to our designers. And we have a couple of amazing partnerships with designers based in Berlin, New York, all over the world, producing within the Columbus Fashion Alliance, which is an amazing makerspace that Dave also is on the board for. So we're really excited for that. And we're always sourcing fabric, so that would be a huge help. But also, just follow us and engage with us. This has already been super. I'm excited to follow up with each of the panelists. And yeah, let's just stay connected. Follow at Mive.fashion.
Maya, anything you want to add to that?
I would also say anyone have like any designers within their network. We definitely want to be a platform for designers to get up and running. There's already so many designers we've been working with, and even connecting with some students, providing some design challenges and things that we have up in the pipeline. So like Mica mentioned, at Mive Fashion on Instagram, mive.fashion, to connect with us. So
Great. Olga, what can the TechLife community do to help you?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. We're looking for an enterprise software salesperson. So if you know somebody who's really excellent, send us the reference. We would love to interview some candidates. And then from a standpoint of building awareness, if you're in retail industry or consumer packaged goods, or if you're a marketer by trade and you provide services to CPG industry, I'd love to partner and figure out how we can help build out vendor stand, or we can help deploy Shopperations to help automate and streamline the job of marketing departments out there. You can find me on LinkedIn or on my website, shopperations.com.
Great. Thanks, Olga. Natasia, what can we do to help Popcom?
Yeah, so we are looking for placement for 50 machines. We probably have placement for like 30 already this year. So any introductions to convention centers, although we actually are talking about placing a pop shop at the Columbus Convention Center. So any other convention centers, hotels, or airports in Ohio. So in Columbus, we've talked to all of the places there in Columbus, so just around the region, I guess.
Got it. All right. And Kris, what can we do to help you and Avery Dennison?
Yeah, it's maybe not ask what TechLife can do for me, but what we can do together at TechLife. But if anybody has a specific project around, the retail space, whether it's traditional apparel, those kind of things, or QSR even, that you're looking at, hey, how can I solve this problem by getting better information about what items I have? Please reach out. We're happy to, provide some simple consulting free of charge, kind of understand what your problem is, work through the business case. So if there's anybody that has that problem about inventory accuracy or expiration management, we're happy to come to the table and open those discussions.
Awesome. And so appreciate that. And what we want to do right now, Rochelle, if you want to pop up a poll. We have a quick poll that we want to ask the audience to participate in. Let's see if we can get that up. So if you guys could let us know if you liked what we did here, if you would recommend this show to a peer or a colleague, if you found today's content to be relevant for the tech and startup community, and let us know what you thought was successful and how you heard about the show, and whether or not you want to connect to others on LinkedIn or otherwise. Unfortunately, we don't have all of everybody's contact information, so LinkedIn is probably going to be the easiest way to connect to folks. But certainly, I know, Mica, you mentioned following up with some people. If anybody does have any challenges in getting a hold of somebody after the session is over, feel free to shoot me a note, and I'll make sure I can do what I can to figure it out. I'm sure we can figure out how to get you connected into that. So with that, we still have about 5 or 6 minutes left, and we've had a handful of people, I think, drop off. So we're down to a little bit of a smaller group here. So I'm going to sort of call an audible on going into some detailed breakout rooms. But what I'd like to do really quick is, for the rest of the folks that are still here in the audience, and we'll kind of go through based on who I have on my screen, just a quick introduction. Let us know who you are. And again, if we want to reach out and just connect at some point, we'll go ahead and do that. So why don't we start off with Stacy?
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for attending. I'm Stacy Reese. I'm in the Columbus area, and I actually work for Avery Dennison with Kris Barton. I'm an account manager for the RBIS division, so my accounts are the brands around here. I found this conversation to be very insightful. Mica, I will definitely be looking you up. And I know that Kris talked a lot about technology, but sustainability really is at the core of everything that we do as well. So a lot of synergy in the conversation that we had. And Dave, really appreciate you putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stacy, I'll connect you with Mike and Maya. That's an easy one to take care of.
Great. I think I'm on an email with them already.
Yeah, if not, we'll make sure you get connected. Ashley, back in New York? Or still in Doyle? Yeah.
I'm in Doylestown. I was just
that was crazy.
I know, small world, small world.
Yeah.
It was lovely. We had a great time. Would recommend, 5 stars. Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Priest. I know Dave Cherry from all kinds of things, CBIS Retail, and from Startup Week, and from Web Analytics Wednesdays. So I saw this in our CBIS Retail crossover newsletter. My background is in fashion, and then I've also worked in social enterprise with a bit of a retail bent, and then also in large scale corporate events and fundraisers. So I just like to keep abreast of my sort of 3 different industries. And was happy to tune in today and hear about this. I've been hearing for years, when I was in fashion for 10 years, about how to get measurements right. And Dave, I appreciate that you said that you can buy an extra large anywhere, but I can buy a 6 at 6 different stores, and every single one of those 6s is going to fit me differently. So I appreciate the efforts that Mive is making to find clothes that fit people and fit them the right way.
And I appreciate Maya and Mica for enlightening me to that issue, because I swear, until I started working with the 2 of them and getting to know them, I had no clue. All right. So most guys, we quite frankly just don't think about it. So, all right, Richard. All right, Richard appears to be on mute. Let's go to Chase.
Hey, everyone, can you hear me?
We got you, Chase.
Okay, yes, thanks, Dave. Hey, I'm Chase Eister. I'm with the Ohio Supercomputer Center down on West Campus there in Columbus. And we are right in the heart of the new Columbus Innovation District, where they're building all of the research facilities around us for medical research and Wexner Medical Center and things. So a lot of exciting stuff happening down on West Campus. We provide high performance computing resources and services to interested researchers, and we do tons of stuff in modeling and simulation and AI and machine learning and autonomous vehicles. But some of our clients have recently started to use us for more data analytics stuff, and that's what's got me interested in the retail space, because I know a couple of our clients are specifically working in marketing and retail type activities. So thanks for a great session. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I have to jump off at 12:30, but I'm going to hang on for as many intros as I can get here. So thanks, folks.
Very appreciated, Chase. Joe, you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Joe. I'm in McAllister's. It's kind of noisy in here. I hope you can hear me. I'm an AI and DevOps. Thanks. I'm an AI and DevOps consultant. I offer analytics services with ChatOps. ChatOps allows the team to work with an AI agent on new projects, such as, for example, looking at which garments customer demographics are buying. It can work in a similar way to Tableau, but connected with all types of analytics platforms. I'm excited to be speaking with you. I think that Columbus is on its way to being the fashion capital of the world, if it's not already.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Joe. All right, last opportunity here. Richard, let's see if we can get you on. Are you there still? All right, I'm going to expect you to either he accidentally dropped off or we're not able to get his microphone working. So that kind of concludes our session for today. Really appreciate, everybody, Maya, Mica, Olga, Natasia, and Kris. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Appreciate everybody as well for attending. Rochelle, thanks so much for all the work that you're doing there in the background to help produce this show. We're going to do another one of these next month. Looking up my date really quickly. I think we're going to be doing it on April the 23rd. That show is going to be focused on e-commerce. And we're going to be talking with some folks that are building e-com sites, focusing on some of the new capabilities, including Afterpay, some efficiencies around returns, and other innovations as e-com takes a bigger role in retail. We're going to focus wholly on that topic. We've got guests, Chase Clymer from Electric Eye, Joe Van Senna from Loop, Kris Sense from F13, and Shay Burns from Klarna will be joining us. So look forward to that, and we'll send information out soon on how to register for that. So with that, our first episode is a wrap. Still 12:30 on my clock, so right on time. So thanks again, everybody. Hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Take care.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dave.
Dave. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.